Hello, everyone. This is Lisa from Power Wheelchairs for Success, and today it is news you can use. So, what are you going to use this news for? This news is news that is uplifting, informational, uh, with opinions. So, to help you kind of think and process, and also to know what's going on out there about wheelchairs, because we know a lot about our own lives, but sometimes we forget to focus on what's going on out there. What are people saying about wheelchair users? What are people not saying about wheelchair users? So, this is an important, I think, segment, and so we will hit it today. One thing that's been all over the news is about this hockey player who pushed a wheelchair down the stairs. So let's take a look at it. This is from Yahoo News. No matter what news you hit on wheelchairs, this article shows up. So double amputee speaks out after NHL exec's kid pushed her wheelchair down the stairs. So the double amputee is the owner of this wheelchair. In the beginning, when this news came out, we didn't know who the wheelchair belonged to. It was just a wheelchair that was at the top of the stairs. So the owner finally shows up, and so the woman who had her wheelchair inexplicably shoved down a flight of stairs by an NHL team exec and ex-player's son has spoken out about the shocking incident captured on camera. Go figure, doing things like that on camera. Saying she plans to not accept a cent of the approximately $9,000 that has been raised for her. So people around, who knew about her wheelchair, hopefully it didn't get broken. So she's not going to accept that money, which is brave on her part, but it's probable that the chair didn't suffer any damage other than the NHL player, who is now very embarrassed. Sydney Beanies, 22, tweeted late Wednesday night that she's so thankful for the support of staff at the pub, Sullivan's in Erie, Pennsylvania, and to the hundreds of messages of support she received. It was my chair that was pushed down the stairs, Beanie posted. I'm so thankful for all of the Sullivans' help in the situation and the kind comments I see on Julia's post. I swear, I really don't want to keep a cent of the donated money. I'd rather give it to those who need it. So, very gracious of her. There's a very nice photo of her and her friend who she was with. A GoFundMe for Beanies organized by the bar security manager Nathaniel Sanders says she's a double amputee who relies on a wheelchair to get around as she learns to use her prosthetics. Sanders said he's the person who carried Beanie to the bar's first floor on Saturday so she could use the bathroom, briefly leaving her wheelchair unattended at the top of the stairs. Seconds later, college hockey player Carson Breer, the 23-year-old son of the Philadelphia Flyers interim general manager Daniel Breer, hopped in the wheelchair while seemingly joking with a friend. He then stood up and shoved the wheelchair down the stairs as he and the other man smirked. So, folks, who knows what he was on or what he wasn't on, but, you don't do that. I don't have to say anything. You all know it, and I don't want to preach to the choir, okay? This is just all over the news, and I wanted to really fill in the blanks here. And thank goodness, the owner of the wheelchair spoke up and filled in some of the blanks, because all we knew was there was a wheelchair at the top of the stairs, and he pushed it down the stairs. So it was hard to know if the wheelchair was just there to assist people coming to the bar, or what the situation was. So this is from Yahoo News, and I will post it down in the description box so you can take a look at it. Interesting article, but it's all over the place. Now, this next article is from the Kashmir Observer. This is obviously from a different country. It doesn't state exactly from where, but it is not from the US. The vocabulary is very different. I do have some statements about how it was written. Granted, I'm aware of the cultural differences and the differences in the use of English. So I want to break this down a little bit. This has to do with a person who makes hardware and software, artificial intelligence for people with disabilities. So he's doing a great deed. So this is, the title of it is Disability Support Will Be History. Meet Kashmiri Innovator with a Cause. So, he has a passion for this. So, but once I kind of break it down, it kind of takes a little bit of a twist. But keep in mind that he is interested in developing artificial intelligence to help us. So I will put it on the line that, we appreciate it. It's just the vocabulary that is very different for us that we are not used to, and especially in the United States. But I'm going to read the first sentence and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Future is all about artificial intelligence and brain computer interface, says Ajaz, believing that handicapped people will no longer be a burden on others. So I get it. I understand what he's trying to say. But I think in response to this article, I'm just going to say to Ajaz, I don't think that we were a burden to start with. It's sensitive if he hasn't had contact with people with disabilities and he's just in the background making, artificial intelligence for us. That's great. But he's got to be careful with how he perceives or how it is written about us. So I don't feel that we are a burden. What I think is that people label us as a burden. So I just want to put that out there. I know Ajaz is doing a great job, but it's just the vocabulary that is in this article. At 21, Ajaz Hussain has already become a tech messiah for the disabled people, given how his innovations are ending the traditional caregiving support to them. His EEG electrocephalogram enabled wheelchair, for instance, is helping disabled persons in their daily needs without any assistance. Existing wheelchairs require the help of another person to move or to the user's fingers to operate via a joystick or button, which is true. Ajaz, a resident of, hope I don't murder this, Hazratbal, Srinagar, says. Okay, so that's the town where he lives. But my wheelchair is for completely crippled persons who can't even lift their hands to control the wheelchair. This is for those who can only use their minds. So he's really developing something that's very specific for a specific group of people with disabilities who cannot use their extremities at all. So that is a tall order. That is, we'll see how he does. But you're hearing the vocabulary that's in here, and it's different from the words we use ordinarily for those with disabilities. So the young techie's innovation will function by capturing beta waves or EEG signals from the brain, which will then be used to drive the wheelchair. So that's excellent. That's great. But then they'll still have to figure out how to get the individual from the bed to the wheelchair. So I'm not sure that caregivers will be, eliminated completely. brain-computer interface, or BCI, can have a dramatic impact on the life of a disabled or old person or persons who with locked syndrome. Since it always it allows control over numerous gadgets without any requirement of movement of the body parts, he explains. So this is great. I want to wish Jess the best. I'm hoping that, this brings satisfaction to him and benefits us, and especially those who cannot move their extremities, their arms, or their feet. So I will leave the link down below so you can read the entire article. Again, this is from the Kashmir Observer. All right. The next place we're going is Singapore. Now, this article, this is from the Straits Times from Singapore. This gives a great idea, and I think we need to follow up with this. I might even write to Google Maps about it because it's an awesome idea. Public can help wheelchair users by collecting data on barrier-free routes for a new app. So what happened was they created a new app, and for the Singapore area, of course, and the people who created the app are calling on volunteers to put in data into the apps for people who use wheelchairs. So a completely different concept. I would have never thought of it. An app has been launched to crowdsource data to map out barrier-free routes, which will make it easier for wheelchair users to navigate around different parts of Singapore. The Smart BFA app, officially launched in early March, has collected data on only a fraction of Singapore's overall pathways so far, including the areas such as Raffles Place, Bugis, and Toa Payoh. Hence, the 7-person team behind the app is calling on the public to download it, available on both the Apple and Google App Store, and start contributing by collecting data on their day-to-day journeys. Now, this is the awesome part of it. Any app, the only way an app is really successful is how much data is put in it. If nobody uses the app, of course, it's not the app itself that is crappy. It's the data that it's lacking. So therefore, why use the app if it doesn't have the information you need? So, Google Maps has put in symbols now on their maps and for accessibility. And what would happen if volunteers, as long as they know what accessibility is, what if all of them started putting in names of restaurants and clinics and theaters and roads and sidewalks that were accessible? What would happen? Oh my God. And taking pictures and making comments, that would be great. Google Maps would become really, really strong and really, really useful. I think they put in, the symbols for disability or accessibility not long ago. I want to say 2020 or 2021. So, it has a ways to go. But to ask the public and the volunteers, and again, you have to know what accessibility is. What is accessible? What needs to be accessible for a wheelchair? So I would, for someone with crutches or someone with, a walker. So that would be important for if someone says to Google Maps, hey, I want to volunteer and put all this information in, that they get a list of characteristics, that would be necessary for a place to be accessible. So like accessible bathrooms, accessible floor, are there ramps, tables, all those details that we look at every day. So that would be really important if you're going to throw in volunteers and ask the public to help to fill in, data for a particular app. So, I wish this group all the luck on their new app for Singapore area. And if people jump in, this is going to grow pretty fast for Singapore wheelchair users, and that will be incredibly awesome. So that is it, folks, for news you can use. As you know, there's a lot going on out there, and I just want to update you so you know that very good things are happening out there, and we need to keep on pushing for good things and positive things to happen for people with disabilities and people who use wheelchairs. So that is it for news you can use, and join us in the next one.